All right, welcome back everyone. This is JFace Games. We are looking at different RPG systems. We are taking what we like, or being inspired by what we like, and we are going to use those in a game of our own design eventually. We're going to get there. I'm hoping to be able to get there by next week. That's the hope. I've already got ideas, but I gotta buckle down first and finish these because I wanted to. Because I'm hoping I get more inspiration while doing these. So, today's video is a little different, or this video is a little different. What we're going to do is we are going to more notes on PF2, 5e, whoops, Fate, and 13th Age. Okay, this is just sort of like an addendum, I guess you could call it. There are a couple other rules that I really liked from those systems, and I kind of want to just put those down and just talk about them. So, the first one is 5, let's just do 5e first. So 5e, and I kind of put these together, 5e versus PF2, because some people love the feat system in 5e because you can really customize your character and go all kind of crazy. And so I agree. I think that the optionality of PF2 is ridiculous. It's off the charts in terms of, like, from the beginning your character can be vastly different as you're kind of moving along. And I think that's wonderful and all, but one of the things I've also come to appreciate with 5e more, Dungeons & Dragons, and I gravitated more towards PF2 once it came out in terms of the optionality, because I love that customization. I love that customization. The features in 5e initially to me felt like they were hemming me in too much. Like I felt I was locked in too much to the character design because of those features, and you only got them X amount of, I think it's like 3rd level, 7th level, 10th level, or et cetera, et cetera. But what I do love about the features in PFE is that they feel powerful. And so that was one of my issues with the difference between these two, is that Pathfinder 2, tons of optionality. I can design my character like crazy, which I love, but each one of those, the math is so tight on that game that it's like those different feats you're getting are like +1 to this, +1 to that, and they're very small, so they don't feel fantastic. You know, you level up and you're like, oh, I'm leveling, and you want it to be that big ding, you know, like an MMO, but I always felt like, oh, I get this one. Now the culmination of my character over time might be awesome, but it didn't feel like, it didn't give you that love of leveling. Whereas 5e definitely does that. Whereas 5e, I didn't like how I felt like I was really hemmed in with those features, and there wasn't a lot of customization, because again, it's balance. I mean, they can't, when those features are so powerful and they do feel like, oh my gosh, I just got a big bump. That can be a problem if you're giving them out too willy-nilly. You know, it's way too powerful. All right, moving on from that, we have the Fate dice ladder. Okay. So first off, Fate also uses custom dice. We love custom dice. I don't know if you've seen those custom dice for Fate. Most of you probably have. I think they're called fudge dice. But on 2 sides they're blank, 2 sides they have a minus symbol, meaning -1, and 2 sides they have a plus, which +1. Whoops, wrong thing. And so what does that end up doing? Well, it's what is really interesting about that, it makes the math really tight. The difference between, if my stat in Fate, if you're unaware, if I say I have a 2 stat and I roll these fudge dice, the ability to get like up to a +6, which would be 4 pluses on 4 dice, and there's a 33% chance each dice rolls a plus, that's really hard. It's really hard to do. And so most of the time you're only getting like up 1 or down 1 or up 2 maybe, or down 2. And so you're using your Fate tokens to kind of boost yourself, get an extra +1, an extra -1. But what's really cool is I love those custom dice because it means that the range is a little bit more manageable. Like you can understand it and grasp it in your head. But they also have this really great Fate ladder, which is, let's see if I can find it real quick. The Fate ladder is, here we go. You get a good idea of if someone's going to roll dice and what are the pluses they're going to be able to get, or what's like the outcome. And so, or I shouldn't say what's the outcome. I should say they describe something that's a mediocre task as a DC 0. Something that's a great task as a DC4. Now, if my skill in that is terrible, I'm probably not going to be able to do great in that ability, because that's a huge range. I'd have to use a lot of other stuff to bolster myself up. But I loved that this is a simple DC, no matter what level the person is, no matter what. In my brain, if I think that it is a great effort to complete something, then it's a +4. It makes it very simple for the DM to just, quickly throw a DC out there, because they understand that ladder. I think Fate did a great job of that. 13th Age. One of the things I love about 13th Age is they have something called mini levels. Now, I don't know if they call it that. I think they call it that. But in essence, like, if when you level in the game, you get 4 different things, right? We'll just arbitrarily throw it out there because I don't know what it is exactly. Say that you get like your proficiency gets better. You get a skill point. You get some hit points. You get this. So there's 4 different things you get. Well, instead of getting it when you level, you can have it at different little milestones. So say it's going to take me 4 sessions to level from one to the other. The DM can get you, the player, can choose after each session, I'm going to take this one. Now 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 you don't have that big like ding and then you get all this stuff, which is always nice. But it is nice to have this sort of like mini progression, or at least this like pick and choose real quick what it is that you want from it. And I really like that. Oh, I'm going to add in one more. The other one on here is Blades in the Dark. Blades in the Dark, they had this mechanic in the game that I don't think I talked about, which is in essence the flashback, which, Blades in the Dark really is an homage of a game towards those Ocean's 11 type, scenarios. And one of the things in Ocean's 11, if you haven't seen those movies, they're heist capers. And by the end of the movie, there's a big like reveal that the good guys who are like the thieves trying to pull off the heist, they knew something in advance, and so they had set stuff up in their advantage at some point, and you, the audience, didn't know it until this big reveal. It's a really cool concept. Well, in Blades in the Dark, they try and build that into the system, and the way they do that is that they, in essence, at some point in time where you would be able to add to the story, and I think that there are, just like the other games, like a Fate token or a Binny from Savage Worlds or any of these things, inspiration, you can, in essence, change something in the world, but in order to do it, you have to role play or describe a flashback of how you set that up. So say you're pinned down by a bunch of guys in an alley and they're shooting at you. You can, use this thing and say how, you scoped out this scene or this area and you knew you were going to have to use this alley, and so you put a gun underneath that, trash bin or whatever. So now you just pull it out. So it's just a cool concept that like you give this flashback scenario, and anytime that the game mechanics lend themselves to actually RPGing and storytelling, fantastic. So those are my quick notes on things that I wanted to addendum. Tune in next time. Remember to subscribe, hit the little bell. And once again, if you have thoughts or concepts, throw them down there. I'm also trying to link all of my notes here in the descriptions now as well. So you should be able to access that too. See you guys.